Kevin Morris worked as a doctor in the big research station called Galileo. He studied viruses and germs that kill people. The Vrethians came to the station 3 days ago. They were tall blue aliens with 4 arms. They moved like they never got tired. The Vrethians had a problem. Something was killing their people. A germ that spread fast and killed almost everyone it touched. They came to the humans for help, because nothing they did stopped it. Kevin watched the aliens through thick glass walls. They looked strong but afraid. The Vrethian leader was called Silence. His skin was light blue and almost clear like water. His voice was weird, and the machine changed it to human words. Silence talked about the dead people. 40 out of every 100 Vrethians died from this germ. Nothing stopped it. Their medicine did not work. Their science could not kill it. Kevin knew this was bad. The Vrethians had guns that could burn whole planets. If humans could not help them, the Vrethians might kill everyone on this station. Maybe worse. Sail and see. He gave him 4 days to find a cure. 4 Earth days. Kevin felt cold. He knew this was a real threat. Kevin picked his team fast. Lisa Hall was the best biologist on the station. Her hands never shook. Marcus Chen was smart with numbers and patterns. Robert King knew about germs from many different creatures and worlds. They went into the sealed lab rooms. They wore the heavy suits that kept germs away from their skin. They looked at the virus again and again. The germ was not like other germs. It did not attack cells the same way. It seemed to grab the basic code of the Vrethians. It pulled the code apart like someone pulling a knot. It was smart, and it changed fast. Kevin looked at the virus under the big microscope. It moved inside the cells like a hunter. It found the Vrethian DNA and broke it. Then a person got sick and died. 2 days passed. Kevin did not sleep much. He drank bad coffee and looked at screens all night. Then he saw something. The virus was smart in a bad way. It used the Vrethian body to spread. The stronger the Vrethian body fought back, the more the virus grew. It was twisted. The Vrethian body killed itself trying to fight the germ. Lisa came and looked at the data on the screen. She was tired too. Kevin said something quiet. He said maybe they could stop the Vrethian body from fighting back. Maybe they could use something else to kill the germ instead. Lisa shook her head. She said that if they stopped the Vrethian body from fighting, every other germ would kill them. They would have no shield at all. Kevin thought hard. Then he got an idea. What if they filled the Vrethian body with something the virus could not understand? What if they used something that looked different to the virus? The virus would get lost. It would not know what to do. They were going to try this plan when the alarm started. Red lights flashed everywhere. Bad sounds came from the walls. Kevin ran to check the warning message. A container had broken in Lab 3. The deadly virus was loose in the air tubes. The station shut down. All doors closed. Kevin and his team were trapped with the Vrethians. Everyone was locked in together. The virus was in the air now. It moved through the tubes that brought air to every room. Everyone could get sick soon. The Vrethians did not move or yell. They just got quiet. They knew what this meant. Death was coming. There was no escape now. No cure. Just death. Paul worked in the contamination room. He was young and scared. His suit covered all his body. Paul said the seal was okay. The container was shut tight. But the virus was in the main air tubes now. It was growing in the air. Kevin said they had to move the Vrethians away from the virus. Paul said that if the Vrethians already breathed the virus, there was no place to go. The sickness would find them anyway. Kevin moved fast through the halls. He had to think of something. Paul followed him. They heard the Vrethians talking in their own language. The machine translated some words. One said their kind would end today. One said they pushed too far. One said they thought they were better than everything. Kevin ran to the air tube room with Paul. The big machine was everywhere. Tubes and filters covered the walls. Nothing was broken yet, but something had to break to start this. Paul said they had to put poison in the tubes. But the poison they had would not work. It was too slow. The virus would kill everyone before the poison worked. Kevin remembered something. The virus did not touch human cells. In every test, when they put human blood near the virus just left it alone. The virus did not see human cells as real food. Kevin said they needed an empty container. He did not say why. They found a clean container. Kevin put on a thin glove. Just a regular glove, not the thick suit. He took the glove off again. He decided to use his bare hand. Kevin moved his hand toward the virus sample. His hand shook. The virus was not something you could see, but he could see how it moved in the dish. It looked evil. Paul said no. Paul tried to stop him. Kevin said wait. Kevin put his bare hand down in the virus. It was wet and cold. He felt it touch his skin. He pulled his hand out. Nothing happened. No pain, no heat, no sickness. He put the virus into the empty container. Paul did not say anything. He just looked scared. Kevin said this was the answer. They had what they needed now. They ran back to the main lab. Lisa and Marcus and Robert saw what Kevin was holding. Lisa yelled. She wanted to know what Kevin did. Kevin said the virus would not touch human skin. He showed them. The virus did not care about his hand. It only wanted to kill VRETHIANS. So Kevin had a new plan. They had to fill the Vrethian blood with human cells before the virus arrived. The virus would get confused. It would look for Vrethian code but find human code instead. The virus would break and stop. Robert said this was crazy. The human cells would break the Vrethians. They would get sick from the foreign stuff. Kevin asked what was worse. Foreign cells that made them sick or death from the virus. No one had an answer. Kevin started to work. He called for his blood. They had to take blood from his arm and pull out the white cells. Then they had to copy these cells until there were billions of them. It was hard work and should take many hours. But Kevin made them go faster. They skipped steps that were not important. Speed was all that mattered now. Silence came to the lab. The Vrethian leader's skin was not perfect blue anymore. It had spots. Dark spots. Silence said the germ was in his lungs now. He felt sickness coming. The Vrethians were ready to accept death instead of more pain. Kevin did not stop his work. He said there was a cure. It was not tested, but it was real. Sale NC. He looked at Kevin. The Vrethian had lived 400 years. He had seen many things, but nothing like this. A weak human species wanted to give their own body to save the Vrethians. Silence said yes. They would try this cure. In 1 hour and 30 minutes. Kevin had billions of human cells in the container. They were alive and ready. Kevin mixed them with a special marker so the Vrethian body would see them as foreign but not dangerous. Kevin took a needle and pushed it into Silence's blue arm. The human cells went into the Vrethian blood. Silence asked why Kevin would risk his own life. Kevin said he was not trying to save anyone when he touched the virus. He was just desperate and had one idea. But now, yes, he was risking death too. Lisa gave the cure to all the other Vrethians. One by one, the needle went in. The human cells went into their blood. Then they waited. The virus started to fail. It got confused. The virus looked for Vrethian code, but found human code. The virus did not know what to do. The Vrethian body started to fight back the right way. The fever broke. The dark spots went away. The sickness stopped. 12 hours later, all the Vrethians were well. Kevin sat and waited for his own test results. The virus never touched his cells, just like he knew it would not. The station stopped its alarms. The red lights went off. The doors opened. Everyone had lived. The room was cold and clean when Kevin got to the treatment center. The machine that made the cure ran all night. Billions of human cells grew bigger and stronger. They had this special mark on them now. The mark told the Vrethian bodies to let these cells in, but watch them. Lisa worked beside Kevin. She checked the cells under the microscope. She nodded. Everything looked good. Marcus sent the numbers to Kevin's screen. The cure was strong. The cells were alive. Nothing was broken. They were ready to use this cure on the Vrethians. Kevin did not sleep. He could not sleep. 13 Vrethians sat in the station waiting. Some of them already showed dark spots on their skin. Some already had fever. The germ was spreading fast inside their bodies. Now at dawn, Kevin went to silence. The Vrethian leader was in the medical room. His skin was not the same color anymore. Light blue spots were turning to dark purple. Silence saw Kevin and tried to stand up. Kevin said, "Lay down. This would hurt a little, but only a little." Kevin took the needle with the cure inside. The needle was thin. He found the blue vein on Silence's arm. He pushed the needle in slow and smooth. The cure went into Silence's blood. The human cells spread out into the Vrethian body. Kevin watched Silence's face to see if pain came. Silence did not show pain, but Kevin could see him holding his breath. Kevin said it was done. Now they had to wait and watch. Lisa came with the other needles. She was fast and steady. She went to the next Vrethian, a female called Vreth Sister Kane. The needle went in. The cure went in. Kane laid back on the bed. One by one, the Vrethians got the cure. 13 needles. 13 times the human cells went into alien blood. The machines that watched them showed numbers on screens. Kevin watched the numbers change. Heartbeat, temperature, blood color, air and lungs. For 2 hours, nothing changed. The dark spots were still there. The fever was still high. Kevin started to worry. What if the cure did not work? What if his idea was all wrong? Then the numbers began to shift. On the screen for Silence, the temperature dropped. 1 degree. Then 1 more. The color of his blood changed. The numbers that showed the virus activity started to get smaller. In the bed next to Silence, Kane opened her eyes. She said she felt different. The pain that was burning inside her body was getting soft. Within 6 hours, all the Vrethians showed the same change. The germ was dying. The human cells confused it. The virus could not find what it wanted. It stopped spreading and started to break apart. The dark spots began to fade. The fever broke. The Vrethians sat up in their beds and looked better. Kevin stood by the window and watched the sunrise. Outside the station, the stars were still there. The universe was still there. And human cells had just saved 13 alien lives. A doctor named Sarah came to Kevin. She said the tests on Kevin's blood came back good. No virus, no sickness. He was clean. Kevin knew he would be clean. But it was good to hear the words. Marcus came next. He told Kevin that all the Vrethians were now free of the germ. The virus was completely gone from their bodies. The human cells were still there, but their own immune system was handling it fine. One of the Vrethians, a male named Vrethgard Nova, asked if he could walk. The medical people said yes, but slow. Nova came to see Kevin. The Vrethian was tall even when human people stood next to him. But when Nova looked at Kevin, he did something strange. He bowed. Nova said Kevin had done something no Vrethian would do. He said Vrethians were advanced and did not risk themselves for others. Kevin risked death to save aliens. Nova said this was something that should never be forgotten. More Vrethians came to see Kevin. They all said thank you in their own way. Some touched their hand to Kevin's shoulder. Some just looked at him with their big eyes that did not blink much. Silence came last. He was walking better now. The The blue of his skin was clear again. Salen said what happened here changed everything. He said Vrethian leaders always thought they were better than every other kind of being. They thought they were stronger and smarter. But Kevin showed that being smart was not the same as being good. Being strong was not the same as having courage. Salen said he would go back to the Vrethian homeworld. He would tell everyone what happened. He would tell them that a weak and young species did something great. Kevin said he just wanted to help. He said that was all. Salen said that was exactly why this mattered. Kevin did not have to help. The Vrethians were not his people. But Kevin helped anyway. This was the real power. Days passed. The Vrethians got stronger. They left the medical beds and walked around the station. They looked at the human technology. They asked questions. They even laughed at some of the jokes the humans made. A human named Tomas made a joke about how the Vrethians' skin looked like water. Vrethgard Nova said his skin did look like water. Everyone laughed, including Nova. On the last day before the Vrethians had to leave, Salen asked to see Kevin again. Salen said the Vrethian Council had made a choice. The Vrethians would no longer see humans as less than them. They would make a real agreement. Humans and Vrethians would work together. Salen said the Vrethian Union was old and had seen many worlds. But never before had they seen what Kevin showed them. They had not known that small things could do big things. They had not known that young beings could teach old ones. They had not known what it meant to not think of yourself first. Kevin said he was just glad everyone lived. Salen said that was the point. Kevin did not care about power or money or being the best. Kevin only cared that people lived. That was the real thing that mattered. The Vrethian ship came to take Silence and the others home. Kevin stood at the window and watched it go up into the sky. The ship was fast and big. It went up until Kevin could not see it anymore. But Kevin knew they would come back. They would come back to work with the humans. They would come back to learn what a young and weak species had to teach them. They would come back because they now knew that strength came in forms they had never thought about before. In the lab, Lisa started to write down everything that happened. She wrote about the virus and the cure. She wrote about how human cells stopped the germ. She wrote about what happened when two kinds of beings decided to work together instead of fight. Marcus sent messages to human leaders on Earth. He told them that the Vrethians wanted to be partners now, not rulers looking down. The station got busy with new work. Humans and Vrethians started to plan real projects together. No more looking down. No more looking up. Just looking across at each other as equals. Kevin did not think about what he had done. He was already thinking about the next thing. But the other humans at the station knew. They knew that one simple person had changed everything. That was all it took. One person who was ready to do something no one else would do. One person who was ready to risk everything so other people could live. The universe was big and had many rules. But Kevin showed that there was one rule that was bigger than all the others. Help each other. Keep each other safe. That was the rule that would make the future better. The Vrethians would go home and tell this story. Humans would tell it too. And maybe one day, all the worlds would know it. The day that a weak species taught the strong ones what power really was. 1 year after the virus died, the Galileo station looked different. New buildings were being put together. New people came every week. Some were human. Some were Vrethian. They all wore the same colors and worked together. Kevin was in a new lab now. This lab was 10 times bigger than the old one. The walls were clean glass so people could see the work being done. Marcus and Lisa worked there too. And 4 Vrethians now lived at this station doing work beside the humans. The Vrethian Union sent a big ship with science tools and books of knowledge. They sent information about how to build new medicines. They shared the secrets they had kept for hundreds of years. Kevin looked at the data that came from the Vrethian Union. The information was huge. There were cures for diseases that humans had suffered for thousands of years. There were ways to make medicine stronger. There were ways to help people live longer and better. But Kevin did not start with these big things. He started by studying his own blood more. He wanted to know why his cells did not get sick from the virus. He wanted to know what made human blood different. Lisa helped with this work. She would take Kevin's cells and look at them under the best microscope. She saw small things inside the cells, small parts that did the work. Some parts were like the Vrethian cells. Some parts were very different. One day, Lisa came to Kevin with big eyes. She said she found something. Kevin came fast to look at the screen. Lisa showed him a part inside the cell that was very strange. It looked like a wall. This wall kept things out. The virus from Vrethians did not know how to break through this wall. So the virus died, but the wall was not just a wall. It was smart. It could change. It could get stronger if bad things tried to hurt the cell. It was like the body knew about danger and got ready for it. Kevin said this was the key. This was why humans could live on Earth. Earth had many bad things that could kill. Dinosaurs, big storms, hot and cold. Humans had to have walls inside their cells to survive. Marcus said that humans were tougher than people thought. The body looked soft, but inside it was hard. The Vrethians who worked there were listening. Their names were Vreth Scholar 10 and Vreth Doctor Plex. Both had lived more than 200 years. 10 said the Vrethian Union had never studied this before. They always thought human cells were weak and simple. They never looked close enough to see the real power. Plex said the Vrethian Union built great cities and lived a long time, but the Vrethians had not needed to be tough. They were the strongest on their world. No other being could hurt them. Kevin said this was the problem. When life is too easy, people forgot how to be strong. 10 said Kevin was right. The Vrethians had lost some things because life was easy. They had lost the will to think of new ways. They had lost the hunger to find answers. They had lost the wish to help when they did not have to. So 10 and Plex asked Kevin if they could study human blood every day. They wanted to learn. They wanted to know why the simple human body was so hard to kill. Kevin said yes. Humans and Vrethians would work as one team now. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The team found many new things. They found that human blood had parts that could fight many different germs. Not just one germ, many germs. The human body was like a soldier that could fight many enemies at the same time. They found that human cells could heal fast. When a human got hurt, the body would stop the blood and start to fix the broken part. The Vrethians healed fast too, but in a different way. They found that human bones were strong in a special way. They could break and get fixed again and become even stronger. The Vrethians had hard bones that did not break, but if they broke, they could not fix themselves. Marcus said that every time humans broke a bone and it fixed, the body learned something new. The body got a little bit stronger. Plex said this was why humans could hit hard with their fists. The human hand had many small bones that could break and heal and get stronger. The Vrethian hand was strong, but it was all one piece. It could not break and learn and get stronger. Kevin said that was a good way to think about it. Humans learned by breaking and fixing. They got smarter and tougher by doing things that were hard. The team wrote down all these findings. They made pictures and numbers to show what they learned. They sent this information to the Vrethian Union. The Vrethian Union said, "Thank you." They said they wanted to send more scholars to learn. They said they wanted to build more labs where humans and Vrethians worked together. Within 6 months, there were 5 new stations like the Galileo station. Each station had human scientists and Vrethian scholars working as one team. A human named David was at one station studying how human eyes could see in the dark. A Vrethian named Vreth Observer Gale was working with him. They found that human eyes had a special layer that sent light back out. This layer was like a mirror. It helped humans see when there was no light. A human named Catherine was at another station, studying how human skin could feel many things. A Vrethian named Vreth Sensor Nova was working with her. They found that human skin had more feeling places than Vrethian skin. Humans could feel heat and cold and pain and soft things all with the same skin. The news went around the galaxy. The Vrethian Union sent this message to all the other beings in space. Humans are not weak. Humans are simple, but they are strong in ways we never knew. Some of the other beings were surprised. Some did not believe it. They said the Vrethians were lying. They said the Vrethians wanted to make humans into slaves and were lying to hide it. But then, the Vrethians sent the science papers. They sent the pictures of human cells. They sent the numbers that proved what human bodies could do. Slowly, other beings started to believe. Other beings started to look at humans different. Before, humans were the new kids in space. Now humans were the teachers showing that everything they knew was wrong. Kevin got letters from humans on Earth. They said that other aliens wanted to come to Earth and study humans. Some beings wanted to trade with humans. Some beings wanted to make agreements with humans. The United Nations of Earth made a new government office just for talking to aliens. They said Kevin was one of the reasons this was needed. Kevin did not think he was special. He just did what needed to be done when the moment came. He did not plan to save the Vrethians. He just had to choose between doing nothing and trying something. He chose to try, but the universe did not see it that way. The universe saw a young human species that was ready to risk everything to help a stronger being. The universe saw that the young species was actually stronger than the big leaders believed. In the lab, the work went on. New germs were studied. New medicines were made. New ways to help sick people were found. Lisa gave the white blood cells of humans to sick Vrethians. Some Vrethians had germs that hurt them. The human cells helped them. The Vrethians got well. Then Lisa tried something new. She took Vrethian cells and gave them to humans who had broken bones that would not fix. The Vrethian cells helped. The human bones grew back stronger. This was the real power. When two kinds of beings shared with each other, both became stronger. Not by taking, by giving, by working as one. Salance came back to the Galileo station for the one-year party. The Vrethian leader looked at Kevin and smiled. The smile was small, but it was real. Salance said that 1 year ago, Kevin had saved his life. But now, Kevin had saved something bigger. Kevin had saved the Vrethian Union from being blind. The Vrethians had not seen the truth about anything. They did not see that small things could be strong. They did not see that young beings could teach old ones. They did not see that being smart and being kind could be the same thing. Kevin said he just took the virus and put it in a container. That was all. Salance said no. Kevin did much more. Kevin made a choice. Kevin picked the hard road instead of the safe road. Kevin showed that humans were not afraid. The party was in the big eating room. Humans and Vrethians sat together and ate the same food. The food was made special, so both kinds could eat it. Someone made a joke, and everyone laughed. Both humans and Vrethians laughed. Ten said out loud that this moment was history. This was the day that two kinds of beings decided to share everything. Not one looking down and one looking up. Both looking at each other. And it started because one human was brave enough to touch a deadly thing with bare hands. One human was smart enough to know his own body was worth something. One human was kind enough to risk death for someone who did not even like him before. That was the day that changed everything. 2 years after the virus, the galaxy was changing fast. News about human strength spread to every star system. Every week, new beings came to the human worlds to learn and trade. The Vrethian Union was not the only ones who sent scholars now. A being called the Krell came. They had green skin and 6 eyes. They wanted to learn about human healing. The Krell got sick a lot because their world was toxic. Human medicine was different from Krell medicine. When they mixed them, sick Krell got well. The Xanther people came too. They were tall and thin and made of something that looked like crystal. The Xanther people could not have children anymore. Something had gone wrong with their bodies many years ago. Human doctors looked at the problem and worked with Xanther doctors. Together, they found a way to help the Xanther have children again. The Sultan beings came from a world of water. They could not breathe air, but they were smart and kind. Human scientists worked with Sultan scientists to make a water station where Sultan could live and work on human worlds. The Sultan shared their knowledge about water and the seas. All of this started because Kevin Morris touched a deadly virus with his bare hand. Kevin was not getting older fast anymore. The Vrethians had a medicine that made people live longer. They shared this with humans. Kevin would live maybe 200 years now instead of 100. But Kevin did not think about living long. He thought about the work. There was always more work to do. In the stations around the galaxy. The science was getting better every day. A human named Robert and a Vrethian named Vreth engineer Tang worked together on building a new kind of ship. The ship would be fast enough to go between stars without taking so much time. Both humans and aliens could travel now without spending their whole life in a ship. A human named Emma and a Krell named Krellsinger 3 made a new kind of music that both humans and Krell could hear and feel. Krell liked sounds that were too high for humans to hear. Humans liked sounds that were too low for Krell to hear. Emma and 3 made a way to change the sounds so both could hear them. When they played this music, humans cried, and Krell made a sound like crying too. A human named James and a Xanther named Xantherlight worked on making crystals that could hold memories. Not computer memories. Real memories. A person could touch the crystal and see what another person remembered. This helped humans and aliens understand each other better. Kevin's team was making new medicines now. They had cured 3 big sicknesses that had killed humans for thousands of years. They had cured 5 sicknesses that killed Vrethians. They had made the Krell strong enough to go to worlds that were not so toxic. But there was a problem. Not all beings wanted to work with humans. A species called the Tarnok said that humans were dangerous. They said humans were too wild and too brave and did not think about the future. The Tarnok had been the strongest beings in this part of space for 1,000 years. Now humans were making them look weak. The Tarnok made a speech to many beings. They said that sharing with humans was a mistake. They said that humans would take everything and leave nothing behind. They said that humans could not be trusted because they broke their own rules. Some beings listened to the Tarnok. They said maybe this was true. Maybe humans were not safe to be around. The Vrethian Union said no. Salance himself made a speech. He said he had been sick and ready to die. Kevin Morris saved his life. Kevin was young and weak compared to the Vrethians. But Kevin had more power in his heart than the Tarnok had in their whole body. Salance said that one human showed him that the strong beings of space had forgotten something important. The Vrethians had forgotten that being good was more important than being strong. The Tarnok still did not know this. The Xanther said that humans had brought them children again. The Xanther would follow any being who gave them that gift. The Krell said that humans had made them able to live without being sick all the time. The Krell loved humans. The Sultan said that humans treated them like equals when Sultan could not even breathe their air. Most of the galaxy believed Salance. But the Tarnok were still afraid. Fear made them dangerous. The Tarnok sent a ship to a human world called Hope Station. They said they wanted to talk and make peace. But Kevin knew it was a lie. He could see the weapons on the ship. The humans of Hope Station got ready to fight. They did not have many weapons. The humans had things that could make bombs and things that could cut metal. But the Tarnok had real war weapons. Weapons that could burn the whole station. Kevin sent a message to Earth. He said the Tarnok were coming to attack. He said maybe this was the end. But Salence heard the message. The Vrethian Union sent 10 ships fast to Hope Station. The Krell sent 4 ships. The Xanthar sent 6 ships. The Sultan sent science tools to help make shields. By the time the Tarnok ship got close to Hope Station, there was a wall of other ships between the humans and the danger. The Tarnok leader sent a message. He said he wanted to fight the humans. He said humans were weak and should be destroyed. Salence sent a message back. He said the Tarnok could try, but they would have to go through every being that was friends with humans first. The Tarnok leader did not try. He was smart enough to know that he would lose a war. So he turned his ship around and went home. He did not say anything. He just left. After that day, no one questioned whether humans were safe to be around. The Tarnok had been the strongest military power in space. Humans had been safe from them because other beings wanted to protect the humans. Kevin was in the medical lab when he heard the news. He did not feel happy that the Tarnok was scared. He felt sad that there were still beings who did not understand that sharing was better than fighting. Lisa came to Kevin with a screen. She showed him a message from the Vrethian Union. The message said that Kevin Morris was a hero to all the beings of space. The message said that Kevin had changed the future just by being brave one time. Kevin said he did not want to be a hero. He wanted everyone to just think about helping each other. Lisa said that was why he was a hero. The best heroes never wanted to be heroes. They just did the right thing when the moment came. The work went on. The medicines got better. The ships got faster. The music got more beautiful. The crystals learned more memories. And everywhere, humans and aliens worked together. They did not always agree. Sometimes they had to fight a little to figure out the best way to do something. But they always came back together, because they had learned that together they were stronger. The galaxy changed. It became a place where many kinds of beings could live and work as equals. Not because they were forced to, but because they wanted to. And it all started with one human who looked at a deadly virus and decided to touch it with his bare hand. One human who had the courage to try something no one else would try. One human named Kevin Morris, who was not special and not powerful, but who did the one thing that changed everything. Salence said in his old age that he had lived 400 years, but the one year when Kevin came into his life was the most important year. It was the year he learned that he did not know everything. It was the year he learned that strength came in forms he had never imagined. It was the year he learned that a young being could teach an old being new things. And every year, on the day that Kevin touched the virus, all the beings of space stopped their work for 1 hour. They remembered that day. They told the story to their children. They said this was the day that everything changed. This was the day that a weak being became strong. This was the day that taught everyone that no one was really weak if they had the courage to do what was right. Kevin never got rich from this. He never got power or a big army. He just kept working. He kept trying to help sick people and hurt people. He kept working with Lisa and Marcus. He kept doing the work that mattered, and that made him more powerful than any Tarnok or any Vrethian leader, because he had the power that came from doing good. And that power never went away. 20 years later, Kevin Morris stood in a big building that had his name on the front. The Kevin Morris Institute for Cross-Species Medicine was on Earth, on the planet where humans lived. It was a place where any being could come to learn about how different bodies worked, and how to help them heal. Kevin was older now, though the Vrethian medicine kept him strong. His hair was gray, but his eyes were still sharp. He still worked every day. He still looked at new viruses and new sicknesses. He still tried to find cures. Lisa Hall was the chief doctor now. She had trained hundreds of doctors, both human and alien. She had helped cure more sicknesses than anyone before her. She said it was all because Kevin showed her that different kinds of blood could work together. Marcus Chun had become a very important scientist. He used computers and math to understand sicknesses before they spread. He saved thousands of lives this way. He said Kevin taught him to see patterns that others could not see. Robert King was old now and did not work every day, but he still came to the institute to teach young doctors. He said the most important thing he learned from Kevin was that real science meant being brave enough to try new things. The Vrethian Union built a big city on Earth now. Vrethians and humans lived together in this city. They had children together, not babies, but little beings that were part human and part Vrethian. These children were the first of a new kind of being. They were called the Half-Bloods, and they could do things that neither humans nor Vrethians could do alone. The Half-Bloods were special. They had the toughness of human bodies and the long life of Vrethians. They had the feeling of humans and the clear thinking of Vrethians. The first half-blood child was born to a human woman named Grace and a Vrethian named Vreth Scholar 10. The baby's name was Hope. Hope was now 10 years old. She learned in the institute. She worked in the labs. She said that one day she would find a way to cure every sickness in the galaxy. Salance came to Earth once a year. The Vrethian was very old now, maybe 430 years. His skin was not as blue as before. It was pale and thin. But his mind was still fast-thought. When Salance came, he always went to see Kevin first. The two of them would sit together and talk about the old days. About the virus that started everything. About the fear and the hope. Salance said that Kevin had given the Vrethian Union a gift that was bigger than gold or power. Kevin had given them the gift of knowing they could be wrong. Salance said that before Kevin, the Vrethians thought they had all the answers. After Kevin, they knew there was always more to learn. One day, Salance brought a young Vrethian to see Kevin. The young Vrethian was called Vreth Hope, named after the half-blood child. Vreth Hope had just finished studying at the Institute. She was now a doctor who could help many kinds of beings. Vreth Hope said to Kevin, "I have read all the papers about you. I have read the story of how you saved Salance by touching the deadly virus. But I want to know, were you scared?" Kevin said, "Yes, I was scared. I was very scared. My hand shook when I moved it close to the virus." Vreth Hope asked, "But you did it anyway." "Why?" Kevin said, "Because people were going to die. Because Salance and the other Vrethians were sick and might not get well. Because doing nothing was the same as letting them die. So I had to try something, even though it was scary." Vreth Hope said, "That is what my teachers call human courage. They say that Vrethians have never had this kind of courage. We were too safe. We did not have to be brave because we were strong. Humans have to be brave because you are not so strong. Courage comes from danger, not from safety." Kevin said, "Maybe that is true. I never thought about it that way." Vreth Hope said, "I want to be like this. I want to touch the things that scare me. I want to find cures for the things that seem impossible to cure." Kevin said, "Then you will do great work. That is how all great work gets done. Not by doing easy things, but by doing hard things even when you are scared." In the months after this, young beings from all over the galaxy came to the Institute. They wanted to learn from Kevin. They wanted to work with humans and other aliens. They wanted to be brave like humans were brave. The news about humans spread to far parts of the galaxy that had never heard of Earth before. Some beings traveled for years just to see the planet where humans lived. Some beings wanted to bring human scientists to their worlds. A species called the Ari came from a galaxy far away. They had traveled through space for so long to get to Earth. They said they had heard that humans could do impossible things. They wanted to learn this power. Kevin told them it was not magic. It was not a power you could buy or steal. It was something you had to grow inside yourself. It was the will to try when things were hard. It was the will to help even when you did not have to. It was the will to look at something scary and touch it anyway. The Ori said this was what they had lost. The Ori were very old and very tired. They had given up trying new things a long time ago. They had forgotten what it felt like to be brave. Kevin's story reminded them. The story of Kevin and the virus had become the most famous story in the galaxy. Every being knew it. Every mother told her children this story. It was the story that proved that courage was stronger than strength. It was the story that proved that a single brave act could change everything. Universities all over space taught about Kevin, but Kevin did not like being famous. He liked the work. He liked finding the answer to the next problem. One day, a young human asked Kevin, "Do you think about the day you touched the virus?" Kevin said, "Sometimes. I think about how scared I was. I think about how I did not know if it would work. I think about how lucky I was that it did work." The human said, "But you were not lucky. You were brave." Kevin said, "Maybe. Or maybe bravery and luck are the same thing. Maybe when you are brave enough to try something hard, luck comes to help you." The human left, but Kevin kept thinking about this. Was it luck or bravery? Was it choice or fate? He did not have an answer. Years passed. Kevin kept working. The half-bloods grew up and had their own children. These new children were called the second generation. They were even more special than their parents. They could do things that three kinds of beings together could not do. The galaxy became more and more peaceful. There were still disagreements, but no more wars. Beings learned that working together was better than fighting. Kevin lived to be 180 years old. His body got weak, but his mind stayed strong. He still worked until the very end. The last day of his life, Kevin was in the lab. He was looking at a virus that killed a being called the Zen. The Zen were very rare and very special. There were only 1,000 of them left in the galaxy. Kevin did not find a cure that day, but he had a new idea. He wrote it down in his notebook. He said to Lisa, "Maybe tomorrow we can try this. Maybe this will work." But there was no tomorrow for Kevin. His heart stopped that night. The news spread through the galaxy fast. Kevin Morris was dead. The human who had started everything was gone. Sailants came to Earth for the funeral. The Vrethian was 130 years old now. He was very old and very tired. But he came to say goodbye to his old friend at the funeral. Sailants spoke to all the beings that had come to remember Kevin. Beings from 100 different worlds had come. Some had traveled for years just to be there. Sailants said, "Kevin Morris was my friend. But he was more than my friend. He was a teacher. He taught me that I did not know everything. He taught me that being strong and being good are not the same thing. He taught me that one brave person could change the whole galaxy." The Vrethian stopped and looked at the sky. Then he said, "I have lived long. I have seen worlds built and destroyed. I have seen species come and go. But nothing I have seen was as important as the day Kevin Morris touched a deadly virus and saved not just my life, but the future of the entire galaxy." When the funeral was over, thousands of beings came to the Institute. They looked at the last place where Kevin had worked. They looked at his notebook with the idea he was going to try tomorrow. They cried, even the beings who did not usually cry. In the years after Kevin's death, the idea in his notebook was studied. It took 10 years to understand it. It took another 10 years to test it. But it worked. The cure Kevin had started to think about on his last day saved the Zen species from dying out. Kevin never got to see this cure work. But his brave thought, the last thought he had, saved a whole species. This was how Kevin's life ended. Not with a big action or a grand moment. Just a small thought in a notebook that nobody saw at first. A thought that took 20 years to become a cure. A thought that saved everything. The half-bloods and the second generation remembered Kevin every day of their lives. They taught their children to be brave like Kevin. They taught their children to touch the scary things. They taught their children to try even when success was not sure. And the galaxy changed because of one human. One person who had the courage to touch a deadly virus with a bare hand. One person who chose to help instead of run. One person named Kevin Morris, who became the most important being in the history of space, not because he was strong, not because he was smart, not because he was rich or powerful, but because he was brave. And bravery, in the end, was the only thing that really mattered.